So good day, everyone, and welcome to another webinar series of the Animal Welfare Group Nigeria. I am Dr. Iyasiri Oluwaseun Sarah, Associate Professor, at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, Nigeria, and a George Fuster Experienced Researcher at the Humboldt Universität in Berlin, Germany. I will be the host of today's meeting and also the moderator of the session. I'm so happy to have in our midst Professor Majid Moradmand, and he's going to be presenting on the topic, spiders, interesting aspects of ecology, ethology, and biology, with notes on the African spiders. And before I hand over to him for his presentation, I would like to take a brief biography of our guest speaker. Majid is in love with biology and inspired by nature and how it works. His main field of research in organisms is the arthropoda, the largest and the most diverse group of organisms on the earth. Understanding arthropods' biodiversity patterns in ecosystem through novel methodologies and approaches is his main interest. He has focused on arachnids, especially spiders, to address questions through an interdisciplinary approach, integrated taxonomy, using multi-source taxonomic characters, meta-barcoding, phylogenetics and phylogenomics, models of niche evolution, and historical phylogeography. For his next step, he's trying to apply these findings to biotechnology. The evolution of particular characters in arachnids, such as silk, venom, and sociality, are his future plans. And you can find Majid on LinkedIn by searching for Majid Moradmand, and also he has a website, spiders.ir, from which you can get more information about spiders.
Thank you very much, Professor. As I told you, I'm so proud to be here presenting part of my interest and research. Actually, I prepared my presentation for audiences interested in Africa and spiders. And I'm quite surprised to see my also homeland friends. I hope that when the presentation is recorded, other people can watch it and probably get connected with the spiders, which is my most interest. Especially, you can see in my slides that African continent is really in need to study biodiversity in the case of all animals, but especially spiders. Okay, and thank you for introducing me. I continue with the slides. You can follow me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. After that, I would be very happy to connect and we'll do the networking also. Okay, the story begins here. As I wrote in my biography, I'm so interested in nature and doing time to time camping in nature, and I love animals and really like to study them. And I choose the arthropods as a group to study biodiversity, biology, and also conservation biology, which I'm currently doing that. Here is a camp in Iran, and close to it, you can see a cave, which as a start, I did it to find special kind of creatures inside the caves. But after that, I'm doing this as a hobby too. This is a cave in the southwest of Iran. And part of the data, which is, of course, most of the data we are collecting from nature by visiting and watching the animals directly in the nature. But you can access to a very rich and huge amount of data in the collection museums around the world, especially in Europe or in North America. You can see here These are thousands and thousands of spiders in the Senckenberg Research Institute, for example, in Frankfurt am Main in Germany, which are housing preserved spiders around the world. They started something like 300 years ago to collect such treasure. And part of the research now, I mean, there's no access to some parts of the world. They have animals like spiders here that people like me or other researchers can access and study spiders there. Okay, after this introduction, I would like to talk about my outlines. I will tell you a little bit about biodiversity and then introducing spiders, what are spiders, and then some interesting aspects of them. And then I will present part of my, or a selection of my projects, especially focusing on African spiders, which are my main interest. Okay, the biodiversity, as you know, there's a definition by UCN, UNEP, and WWF, that it's a variety of life in all its forms, levels, and combinations, which include ecosystem diversity, species diversity, and genetic diversity. And understanding this diversity, which is one of the facts on our Earth, it's an introduction to conserve it and have a better life also for humans. Okay, should use the laser part. Here you can see the genetics diversity, diversity of the DNA between individuals, and then we have species diversity, which is the diversity between different forms of life, every kind of life, and then this is overlapping or including into the ecosystems diversity, which is like, for example, marine and terrestrial or river, forest, and everything. These are all connected together, and in all research area we are studying all together actually. But today I am mostly focusing on species diversity, the differences and diversity of animals and their aspects. This is, in this case, spiders. Here you can see the biodiversity web. Everything is connected in our nature, and everything is important. Here you can see spider. Spiders are apex or let's say top predators in the environment. In the following slides, you can see how important they are, how important ecological role they have in the ecosystems. They are not only predators, but they are also prey to some kinds of other animals. And if you look at the pie chart of the diversity in Earth, you can see that the biggest part belongs to arthropods. More than 65% of species diversity are just arthropods. Of course, insects are the most diverse species, but spiders belonging to arachnids also one of the biggest diversity on Earth. And this is very important to know them, to study them, and how they are important to our lives. Okay, before every talk about spiders, we should know about them. The anatomy is very important. I'm not going into details, but just presenting the part of it. The body is composed of two parts. We call it cephalothorax and abdomen, or like first part and second part. They have 8 legs, and the 2 extra legs we call the pedipalps here. They have different number of eyes, from 0, some have none eyes. For example, those living in the caves, 2, 4, 6, or 8 eyes. And most of them have 8 eyes. And they have a kind of a spider view. You know about the spider camera, for example, they are using in stadiums. They have like a 36-degree view around their environment. If you look at their ventral view of the spider, you can see its mouth. fangs, which they have venoms inside. They can bite. In the abdomen, they have spinnerets, which are using them for producing silk, for example. And here we can see hook lines, they are using it for breathing. Yeah, and among spiders, they are very, very diverse. We have two big groups of spiders. Those you are seeing here, they called, for example, Vogelspinne in Germany, or they called bird spiders, or generally they called tarantulas. They are big, hairy spiders, and the scientific name for them are megalomorphs. Compared to the second group, which called aranomorph spiders, most of the spiders you are watching around you belongs to this group, and more than 95% of the species diversity belongs to this group. They are also including very big ones, like huntsman spiders here. I probably have seen them in some scary movies, for example. The general structure are the same, but they are different in the shape of some structures like in mouth parts and so on, but general structure are the same. Okay, first, very interesting aspects of spiders is coming from ecological point of view. It's very surprising. This is a recent study published, and they are estimating how much or how many insects are consuming by spiders around the world. If you see here, the estimation is 400 to 800 million tons of insects are annually consumed by spiders around the world. If you compare it, for example, to population of humans around worldwide, the annual meats that humans are eating is just 400 million tons. And even the biggest animal or biggest creature even on the earth, like blue whales, they are eating only 280 to maximum 500 million tons of seafoods. And you can see with high diversity of insects that they are consuming such amount of, I mean, a tremendous amount of insect they are consuming annually. If they are just vanishing from the earth would be covered with insects. And they are actually controlling the population of insects on Earth. Spiders are not only predators, but they also prey. But this is also another interesting aspect. Some insects like parasitoids and some birds are eating them, which are also very important in the food chain. But another interesting is that spiders are not only killing insects, but in some groups of spiders, they are specialists to prey on vertebrates. I mean, not very large vertebrates, but vertebrates that they can subdue. For example, you can see for some big spiders, they have special webs to catch birds. For example, very small birds like hummingbirds or sparrows, for example, in some cases. And some are specialists to hunt fishes. They can walk on the water and catch fishes. And some, for example, amphibians. Another interesting species which is worldwide not well known is black widows. Black widows' venom are known to be dangerous for humans. And recent studies shows that the reason is that because the black widows are mainly hunting on vertebrates, small vertebrates, and the venom in such spiders are evolved to kill vertebrates. And okay, humans are just unlucky victim of these creatures, of black widows. They have kind of neurotoxin venoms that paralyze the prey. But this aspect is scary at the first glance, but actually it's one of the big and open windows for producing medicine in the future. Recently, we are focusing on extracting special molecules in the venoms of spiders, for example, like wolf spider, you can see here. This publication is just recent. For example, one of the components of the venom called omega-lycotoxin, it can be used as a treatment for some neurodegenerative disease in humans. And of course, it's not still used in humans, but in rats and models showed that it is actually effective. For example, for some diseases like Alzheimer's. And yeah, probably it's nice to show you another aspects of the spiders in the applied science after venom. It's robotics, for example. You can watch.
This is one amazing spider. It's tumbling through the Moroccan desert in what the scientists call a flick-flack motion. The spider was recently classified as a new species, Sabrenus recondite. That's partly because of the structure of the male sexual organ and partly because of the unique way that it flings itself around the desert. It was named for Ingo Rechenberg, a bionics professor who searches out unusual bits of evolutionary engineering. He found the spider and was so intrigued that he designed a robot to mimic its motion. The spider only does this highly energetic flip-flopping when it's threatened. And the reason is that the movement is so costly that if the spider does it too many times, it could exhaust itself and die. Since closely related species don't do the flip-flop motion, the question of how it evolved is an intriguing one. But let's be honest, the really big news here is simple. This is one amazing spider.
Yeah. As you see, spiders are also a model for producing or constructing robots. And they are very interesting creatures in this case. Talking about the behavior of locomotion, we can continue with neuroscience and behavior. One of the surprising recent discoveries for the spider is that there are some evidence that they can dream. It's very interesting because before that, nobody or no evidence was shown that any kind of invertebrates can have a kind of dream, for example. Of course, talking about dream is too much here, but there is some evidence here. For example, they have kind of eye movements. You know about REM in humans during sleep, which is a common behavior, physiological behavior of our eyes. And in the recent publications, scientists found the same behavior also in the spiders. When they are sleeping, they show a movement. If you can see here, hopefully, that is hard to see. There's a jumping spider that its retina, the retina of the 8 eyes actually are moving. And it is, the evidence shows that it's the same as eyes movements in humans during sleeping. And for more information, of course, you can see the paper, which I'm attaching the reference. Yeah, jumping to another interesting aspects of behavior. You can see here a kind of experiments about spider personality, for example. Spiderlings, we call the spider babies spiderlings. spiderlings from the same cocoon, which are actually brothers and sisters, they show differences in behavior when they are facing with a mirror. You know that animals are responding to the mirror as aggressive. For example, they saw an opponent, they are attacking it. For example, here is jumping spider. On the other side, some are just shy and getting away from the mirror. And it shows that, okay, spiders have kind of personality, the aggressiveness or shyness in their behavior. And they need much more studies to show how it works actually in this group. And even for such a kind of predators, we have social or kinds of living. Here we can see, just a moment, I just bring back my laser. Here we can see a mother spider, and here are spiderlings, I mean the babies around her. And she's taking care of the babies after they are hatching from their eggs, and they are living together for a while. They are hunting together, eating together, and then after some molting, they are living mother and starting the new life. Another aspect is arachnophobia. Of course, you can see in the psychological point of view, spiders, how they're affecting humans, the people around them. Arachnophobia is actually one of the most popular phobia, like an estimation of 5% of populations are suffering from this. And this is actually needed to be treated in some people. Something related to this topic is vampire spider, for example. This is an interesting spider from Africa. It's not scary at all. You can see just a few millimeters in length. This spider is not scary to humans like a vampire, but is scary to insects, and the insects enemies of humans, like mosquitoes, Anopheles, which are causing death in Africa, causing malaria, for example. This special kind of spider, which called vampire spider, they are specialists on hunting mosquitoes, which are freshly sucked blood from their victims. And they are actually have a prefer for mosquitoes, female mosquitoes who have bloods in their stomach. And interestingly, they are very, ecologically point of view, very important group that controlling the population of mosquitoes. This is a species which we described from Iran. In the aspects of phobia, you can see here, for example, we named it after Lucas spider. This toy is created by some, I don't know, media people, which is so cute spider. And, these are designed in order to treat arachnophobia, actually. Arachnophobia is not a real phobia. And the 99% of spiders are not dangerous. They cannot even bite humans. They are so small size. And the bigger ones also, they are, the venom is not actually dangerous to humans. Just very few exceptions are the black widows and the okay. Okay, jumping to African spiders. This is one of my interesting topics here. And for example, if you see around the world, more than 51 species of spiders are described. The majority are not described to date. But if we look into African continent as one of the biggest and diverse ecosystems, which is actually the mother of nature, mother of evolution for every kind of creature, unfortunately, the study on spiders are not so well done. If you look only South Africa, more than 2,000 species are known from South Africa, but for other parts of the tropical Africa, the majority of the countries, less than 100 species is known. For example, the group here is for Nigeria. If you look at Nigeria, it's something not more than 107 is known from Nigeria, and it really needs to be studied for such a diverse and rich countries, the biodiversity. After that, these slides are I'm presenting some interesting spiders from Africa, and I'm bringing some from my own researches. For example, you can see here the Darwin bark spider, which are these spiders producing the largest web in the world. They are producing the webs like meters across a river, and they are catching flying insects. They're living in Madagascar, for example. It's very interesting spot. You can see here two of my publications, and one of the apex predators of the deserts called the Sparsus or stone huntsman spider. They are mostly distributed in Africa. You can see from South Africa to North Africa to Middle East and also to Iran, to the Central Asia also. This is a diverse group. I'm presenting two species here, which I described as new species years ago from Africa. For example, this one called Eusparsus, I named it Eusparsus educatus. I found out the specimens which I was studying was actually collected by such people, the kids, from an interesting program, EduVentures. This program is a charity, and it's very interesting that they are educating kids in Namibia. And I named this species in honor of the kids actually raising themselves and educating in these underdeveloped or developed areas. It needs much more attention. Another species I described and named as new is just interestingly just a single known member of a family Sparsidae known from Nigeria. I named it Eusparsus reverentia after the idea of Albert Schweitzer. He's a winner of Nobel Peace Prize. He died many years ago. He's a German. He was a German activist, human activist, and his book affected me a lot. Reverence for life. It means respect for every kind of nature and creature. You can read about it more if you are interested. Another species or group of species which are studied in Africa are belong to genus Sodomicromata, another interesting, beautiful species associated with vegetation and trees living in tropical Africa. And we found also a single species in southeast of Iran in Baluchistan region, more than 4,000 kilometers away. It's very interesting with the point of evolutionary and ecological point of view. Another interesting species sharing in Africa and Europe and also Middle East is a megalomorph. This is also named in new after an environmental activist. We named it as a new species. This is another interesting species. And currently, I'm also studying a group of spiders from Tanzania in the east of Africa. They are very interesting huntsman spiders. They are very big. They are living in the caves and also in the canopies of the forest in Eastern Africa. And this paper is not published yet, but you can see three new species of African continent. Okay, and finally here are some examples of books which are interesting for readers, can read about more about spiders. For example, this one, which is recently published, Spiders of the World, are collecting very interesting biological aspects of spiders here. And these two books are especially for Africa. For example, this one is from South Africa, Spiders of South Africa, is a field guide, and the other one is from Western Africa. It's closer to Nigeria, and probably people from Nigeria can start with this book, or the other books also very useful for them. And thank you very much. I hope that I finished in time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Was quite an interesting presentation. Oh, spiders.
Yeah, sorry, it's not easy to just compile everything in a presentation. There's so many information about them. I tried just to present something for my audiences. As you said, they are rangers or environmental interests, or people who are interested in animal behavior and so on. Hopefully it would be useful for them.
Yes, I'm so happy to hear for the first time that spiders feed on mosquitoes. And to me, oh, this is a good control measure. You know, it helps us to control the population of mosquitoes in Africa because, you know, mosquito is creating a whole lot of issues in terms of malaria, and a lot of people fall sick and have malaria almost, you know, every day. So I'm happy to hear that from your presentation. So briefly, what is the life cycle of a spider like? Just any one of them, just talk briefly about the life cycle.
So yeah, your life cycle, the genders are different. I mean, they have the male and female, father and mother, actually they are laying eggs, and the legs are mostly covered with silk. They're protecting them. In some cases, the mother are carrying the eggs with herself just to protect them. And after some weeks, the spiderlings are coming out from the eggs, and you know, like other arthropods, they are molting. It means that they are changing their skin after their every step of their growing. It takes, in some cases, just some months, and for some spiders, which are very big, 2 to 5 years. Some are also living up to 10 years in captivity, but in the nature, they are not living so long, maybe 1 or 2 years or 2 years maximum. And they are getting mature after 4 or 5, depends on the species, molting, mature, male and female, and they can populate and lay eggs.
Thank you so much. Yeah, there's a question in the chat box from Samuel Durosharo. What are the probable reasons why there are more spider species in South Africa compared to other African countries?
Yeah, this is a simple answer because this is a bias in studies only. I mean, the people in South Africa, they spend more time to collect them and study them because I guess compared to other parts of Africa, unfortunately, you can say about this better. Most of tropical Africa are not well developed. They need money actually to study. They need ultrastructure. I mean, the universities and institutes to study everything. And South Africa is a little bit well developed, and they have ultrastructure, and they have more scientists studying them. I think one maybe big aim and the goal would be to train interested people from tropical Africa in these topics. I know from Nigeria, there are so many scientists. I saw them, for example, in the network meeting. There's so many scientists from Nigeria studying, and it's a great country, big country. But unfortunately, I don't know anybody studying spiders. I don't know what's the reason. Probably they are not interested. There's not priority, and not only spiders, but the biodiversity. I think they deserve to be studied. there should be many reasons, but for South Africa, this is just more a study, the simple question. They are also studied, and probably the Europeans just visiting there more. Is the reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
But this is a very needed expert in this in the Africa. Probably you can answer this better. Probably.
Actually, it could be to lack of awareness. I have no clue really. I as a person got interested in spiders, you know, when I met you at a network event, though I know that, you know, when somebody walks into a cobweb, we tend to see it as a bad omen, something evil, and, you know, that is like the cultural belief or perspective to it. But in terms of studying it as a species, I have no clue about those in, is it botany now or zoology, or what they are actually.
Yeah, zoology and systematic.
So I have no clue about how much of them or how few of them we have in Nigeria. So actually, I felt this would be an interesting, you know, topic for people who are interested and who may also want to network with those who have knowledge about it. So there's the possibility that we have people in the audience that also might, after today's presentation, get interested and want to do more about studying spiders.
Actually, I would be proud to support such people who would like to study them in the future. And we have very good connections in Germany also. We can do a lot of, you know, to get scholarship to come here and study them. There would be more possibilities for interested people.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing that. So I think there's a question in the chat box. While you were presenting, it's a question from Samadura Shara as well. You talked about spiders dream. Is there any evidence that they can remember? You know, there are times as human beings when we have dreams, there are some you forget even before you wake up, and there are some you remember vividly. So how can you how can we know whether they actually remember their dreams?
Yeah, this is actually very hard to answer. As I told you, dream is so big to talk about animals because they are so different from humans. Of course, as evolutionists, I think that humans and animals are connected together. But talking about mind and dream, a little bit different in experimental science. When we are talking about evidence, we have to bring actually scientific evidence for it. What I can, at the moment, according to my current knowledge, answer is that spiders and other smaller creatures, they have very complex nervous system. It's new findings. Before that, scientists even though that these small creatures are very simple and they are just doing by their instinct. But nowadays we know that they have very complicated, not as complex as humans, but it's also complex nervous system. And they have this complex nervous system can support complex behavior also. For example, they are learning when the spiderlings are hatching from the eggs. They are experiencing, and when they are experiencing, actually they have a memory because all animals have a memory, not only humans, because they are learning. Part of it is a conditional learning, part of it is like intellectual learning. For spiders, at least we know that there is some kind of, not as levels of mammals, but there is a conditional learning. It means that they have a memory, actually. But there is so many studies to be done in the future.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing answer. So if spiders eat a lot of insects, what are the insects that prey on spiders?
There are just very few insects preying on spiders. A group of wasps, we call them parasitoid wasps. I don't know, have you ever watched the movie Alien? they are laying eggs into the body of spiders. They are paralyzing them, and their larvae eating the body. It's like a very disgusting kind of life, but it's there. It's a kind of part of nature. But the reason is that just few insects are preying on spiders. If I understand the question
Yes. Yeah.
right way, yeah.
So
But,
wasps feed on spiders, right?
Some
of them.
Some very specialists. They are very specialists to capture spiders, because spiders are predators. To prey a predator, it needs a lot of evolutionary complexity. They have to overcome so many behaviors, find them, catch them, subdue them, and just very few kind of insects can do that.
Yeah. Now, I want to go into what I find most interesting is the web design. So does the different species have a different web design, or does it change over time in the life cycle of a particular species, and what informs, what type of web and things like that?
Yeah, there is actually various kinds of webs. I should have inserted actually a slide for that. But the most popular one is the circular one, which people can see, for example, in a garden spider. But there is also triangular structure. As I told you in the interview, just a portion of the spider producing webs. The silk is actually produced just to make a retreat or home for them, or to cover the eggs, to protect them. And in the evolutionary sequences, webs evolved later. I mean, they are more recent, the more evolved kind of structure. And the majority of spiders are not producing webs. They are actively going for insects or other kind of prey and hunting them. But if you look into the strategy of their hunting, there is so diverse and so amazing. They are, yeah, some are also, for example, producing the pheromones of insects and injecting it into a part of some kind of a spherical structure, and the spider just moving it and attracting the moths and the butterflies. And this is amazing. They are just producing the pheromones of another species, attracting them. Yeah.
Is that a form of deception?
Yes, exactly. This is deception. And for example, in Europe, it is so common, or also in Africa, there are spiders living on the flowers. They can change their color. I mean, they are living, for example, on the yellow flower, they are yellow. And they are sitting there and waiting for pollinators and catching. Yeah. Yeah. It's a so diverse strategy to overcome hunting insects.
Thank you so much. So let me go back to the chat. Yes.
Yeah.
Also from Samuel Dorosharo, he said he at one time watched a film where spiders were as big as humans. Do we really have such big spiders in real life?
Yeah. According to fossil records, the biggest spider was not much bigger than my palm. I mean, like 30 centimeters maximum. Yeah, in Jurassic. At the moment, we have one of the biggest one, like a megalomorph spider, living in South Africa, not South Africa, but in Southern Africa and also in Southern America. One of the biggest one also is the Heteropodon maxima. If you search its name, I can write it in the chat also. They are living in the caves of Southeast Asia, and they are 15 centimeters when they are, oh, sorry, 13 centimeters when they are sitting on the walls of the caves. Actually, because of the physics of our Earth is not supporting arthropods to be bigger than such size. you know, the skeleton is not supporting such big creatures. I mean, to be big, to getting bigger than this, because part of the skeleton of them is a hydraulic skeleton, you know, and the hydraulic skeleton is not allowing the creature to get bigger in that size. And these are all fake or just in the fictions.
Okay. Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. Jenu Chu she said, thank you for this interesting talk. What are the main threats on spiders' biodiversity in the African continent in terms of deforestation, farming, and the use of pesticides?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, it's, land to land is different. The threats are different, but I think the most important threat is just land use, probably, which is not only a threat to spiders, but also to other creatures, changing of the lands and the natures to, yeah, human affected lands. As I told you, it's really deserved. African continent, African countries, especially in the tropical area, really deserve to be studied in the point of biodiversity, not only for spiders, but also for every kind of arthropods, especially. But for this, I should read. I mean, I think for every country is different. The thread is different.
Okay. Thank you so much. Wow. So there's still, the questions are just coming in. I think they find it quite interesting. What are the diseases in humans that spiders' venom can be used to treat?
To treat. Recent studies are mainly on neurodegenerative disease. Means that for example, in such disease that neurons are not so active, and using special substances of the venom of spiders which are targeting neurons, it can overexpress neurons and make them alive again. You know, in some disease, neurons are not active or are active lower than the percentage, and using these kind of substances, they can reactivate the neurons, for example. I can tell you, for example, Alzheimer, as I know, there is some evidences that treating rats which their memory are disordered, they can recall what they lose in the rats. Yeah, of course, there is not human studies right now. This is only in the levels of lab experiments. It needs much more studies in the future.
So there's the possibility that in the future it's maybe also useful for humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a big window now in major universities that they are studying these substances of venoms to treat disease. For example, neurodegenerative disease. I can tell you also about venoms of scorpions, for example. Such kind of scorpions, some molecular substances in scorpions used against cancer, for example. They can treat against some kind of cancers like breast cancer. There's some evidences like that.
So we are getting there. Wow. So it'll be interesting to see that humans, also have benefits that they can get from as small animals, insects, even like insects. And so we all, our life, are all intertwined together, that we depend on each other for one benefit or the other. There is a comment here from Professor Sanusi. Well done, Dr. Majid. It's interesting to learn about spiders, which is a rare knowledge. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. And also from Dr. Samuel Duroshara again. Do
My
young
pleasure.
spiders learn how to make webs, or is it an innate behavior? Can a spider forget how to produce webs? Trying to know if spiders also experience like memory loss and things like that.
That's very interesting hypothesis, right? As far as I know, the making webs behavior is an innate behavior, and they are inheriting them from their former generations. It's really a big question now in evolution of spiders, how they learn to make such complex structure. And for this other question, I don't know any study that tried this kind of hypothesis. You know, as far as I know about rats, treating spiders in the lab, it's not so easy. As I told you, they are not easy to raise in the lab, and we don't have any model of them that we can study such kind of complex behavior right now. But such studies is underway. And that's a really interesting question. Hopefully, you or some students of you can do that in the future. I know that it's not done. I mean, it's not easy to make a spider learn like a rat or have a memory, and then you destroy the memory and okay, now treat or make it some drugs or provide an experiment to test it. Unfortunately, it's not easy now. For some kind of insects, they are doing that, for example, for ants and for honeybees, for example. But for spiders, as far as I know, there's nothing.
Okay. Yeah, still on that. So from your presentation, to me, we can actually say spiders, you know, have the ability to experience pain as well. They are sentient in nature. So, and you talked about the mother spider, you know, caring for the younger ones. At the point of hatching, the younger ones, what are they called? You know,
Spiderlings.
spider lings.
Lings,
Okay.
yeah.
The spider lings, are they independent at that point, or do they have to remain in a place and wait for the mother to bring food, or how is their life immediately after hatching with the mother?
Yeah, actually they are predators, and in most of the spider, if they keep close together, they will kill each other. They don't matter they are mother or their brothers or sisters. But in some special spiders, the behavior of sociality evolved. We call it social genomics. It's a very interesting topic. It's also underway. Which kind of genes are evolved that make a predator to be social, you know? Okay, now it's time to work together. It's not eating each other, but working together to subdue bigger prey. For example, lions are doing that, or hyenas in Africa. For spider, it's a very special case. There are few species that after spiderlings hatch, they stick to the mother, and mother taking care of them. It's clear that they can communicate, because for a social behavior, such a complex behavior, there should be communication signals. They are communicating to each other. And for this spider, they are ambushing. I mean, they are waiting for a prey to come across them. But there are also some spiders making webs. Social webs means a huge web of hundreds of spiders, mostly spiderlings, mother and kids.
Okay.
And they are catching insects in the web together and subdue the bigger ones.
Oh, okay. So there's this the act of cooperation in building the web.
Yeah, but for some cases, for example, which are not social, here you have mother phagy also. When the spiderlings are hatched, the mother is just end of its life. I mean, its role in the nature is finished because, as I told you, they are only 1 or 2 years maximum living. And when the spiderlings are there, are eating on the mother. Yeah, this is nature, yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for this interesting presentation. So to the participants, thank you for joining us. If you have further comments for our guest speaker, please indicate with the use of the raise hand button, and then I will unmute you for you to talk. And also for those of you joining us for the first time, if you are yet to follow us on our social media platform, please kindly do so. We'll be happy to have you follow us on our Facebook page, on our LinkedIn page. We are also on Twitter at AWGN14. And our previous webinars and also this one you'll find it on our YouTube channel, the Animal Welfare Group Nigeria. In case you have missed any of our webinars, you definitely can have a rewatch on our YouTube channel. So is there anybody who has any comment for our presenter before we wrap up today's meeting? Yeah, I still have a few things to ask, but I want to give priority to the participants. How can one differentiate between the male and the female spider?
It's a little bit difficult from a non-expert person, and it should have a close look through the microscope actually to see the differences. Sexual differences are not so high, but for some groups, I mean, the majority of the spider females are bigger and more robust. Because in evolutionary point of view, they need to produce eggs and in some cases take care of the babies, but the males are only there for copulation. Then the males are small and the females are big, actually. But like other sexual animals, they have differences in their copulatory structures. Yeah.
Okay.
It should be looked through the microscope, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So one more question and then we'll wrap up today's meeting. Yeah, it's actually occurred to me and I was wondering, is it possible, are there people that have spiders as pets? Yeah.
This is regular here in, for example, in Europe or in North America. There are some cultures and, sorry, not cultures, but pet houses, for example. They are rearing spiders as a pet. And of course, I'm not supporting this so much because of this interest around the world. There are some illegal collecting of them in their nature and transporting them from their natural habitats, and is a threat also to the biodiversity. Trading them actually is a big trade in some areas. For example, in South America or part of South Asia, is prohibited by the countries. But some species are easy to rear in captivity, and they are keeping as pets. Yeah.
So how easy is it to
very
export those? Okay.
Sorry?
I was wondering how this human, well, actually human insect interaction now, having pets, how.
Actually, it's not the pet in the view of a dog or cat, for example. You cannot communicate with. Maybe just the communication from one way, because they have no channels to communicate with a human, actually. But they are getting used to the food and to the shelter we are providing them. But people love to keep them because they are scary, they are special, they are like snakes, for example.
I wish I could just have a spider and see it, construct the web. That is the most exciting thing to me, to just sit and watch it, construct the web.
Yeah, there are exhibitions, in some exhibitions in Europe, for example, in the museums you can find, in the zoos, for example. They are keeping also spiders, as far as I know.
Okay, Fami, you want to give a comment? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Yasir, for the time. But sorry, I cannot turn on my camera because of the signals. So I would like to thank Dr. Majid for the presentations, because spiders are unique to me, and I think for everyone too.
Exactly.
Okay, my name is Fahmi. I'm from Indonesia, and I just want to talk about the spiders being a pet animals here in Indonesia, because years ago I joined the market of wild animal trading, and it's international, but not for now. Actually, I am a researcher in conservation, wildlife conservation, so I have to stop it. But I have some stories about it, especially about tarantula. And tarantula is like, people here in Indonesia are common to have them as pet, and you know that they also have some kind of methods to tame the tarantula.
Exactly.
And to be fair, at the first time I know about how to pet the tarantula, I don't know the size of it, and after that I saw the tarantula in the real life, and it's really big. It's really big to me, and I just wonder that how people make the tarantula to be their friends, and it's like also the tarantula keepers also keep other animals, some kind of reptiles, snakes, lizards, and anything else, and they are also common to be found in the like bird markets, and also animal markets, and even like animal stores. So yeah, I just want to give a comment like that about tarantula as a pet, about spider as a pet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your.
So with that, thank you so much, Fami, for sharing that interesting experience of what happens in Indonesia. And thank you to all the participants for staying tuned, and also to our guest speaker. We really appreciate your time in sharing knowledge with us